All right. Good afternoon. This is Quintus Curtius, and I have not made a video before, but I decided to do one at the request of a friend who wanted to see a discussion of two classic firearms, the Smith Wesson Model 27 and the Colt Python, the new 2024 Colt Python. I'm going to hold those up here. This is the blued Python, and this is the Smith & Wesson Model 27. So what I'm going to do with these two firearms is just talk a little bit about the background, my opinions of them, and just my thoughts on having shot both of them extensively. I just bought the 2024 Python just last week and took it to the range today, so put some rounds through it. So I have a few opinions to offer about it, but obviously I think I need to have more trigger time with it to really give a comprehensive opinion. But still, I think this is going to be worth it for people who are thinking maybe of buying one of these guns, or just want to just enjoy hearing discussions about guns and just those kind of details. So what I thought I'd do is just start with the Smith & Wesson Model 27, talk a little bit about its background, and give you my thoughts on its operation, its smoothness, its suitability for people who like big bore firearms. So anyway, I'm going to adjust the camera here to just angle it down so we can get a better view of what we're looking at here. And as you can see, I've got my guns laid out here, and this is the Smith & Wesson Model 27. As you can see, it's gonna show that we've got nothing in the chamber here, and the Smith & Wesson Model 27 has got a very, very storied history, a very, very interesting history. This was, as many of you probably know, the original 357 Magnum. And when it first came out in 1935, it was called the registered Magnum. And the reason for that is you could, if you were a purchaser, you could order it direct from Smith & Wesson. You could choose whatever barrel length you wanted, and they would send it to you, and there was a certificate that you could fill out and send back to the company, and they would actually register it there for you. So that is the reason why it became known as the registered Magnum. Turn it around there so you can get a better look. And as you can see, it's got some really, really beautiful, in my view anyway, just some a very, very beautiful outline, and very, very difficult to really match this. And it's got some great features. Let's see if we can get maybe a better, more angled down look here with this. All right. So just some of the more interesting features. Let me just open the cylinder here. I mean, just look at one of the things I think is really impressive. You just look at the size of this forcing cone here that I'm pointing to here with a pencil. I mean, look how thick that steel is, extremely thick. And the cylinder here. Look how much steel is there in that cylinder. Just the over engineering is what I love about this thing. It's got a very, very, very heavy midsection, and as I'll talk about in a few minutes, that midsection heaviness is really one of the things that gives it some real stability. But it's got some great features here. You've got the as you can see here, you've got the checkered top strap here, which from what I understand is one of the special features. I think Smith & Wesson only did this with a few of their firearms. You've got the hammer spur here, which has got a very, very textured surface here, which makes it very, very smooth to thumb. Very, very pleasurable, I think, to thumb when you do that. And you've got also a trigger here, if you can see that. You've got sort of serrations there on the trigger, which is the textured surface makes it difficult for the finger to slip off of that. You've got the Smith & Wesson monogram here, which is very nice. And another very nice thing is you've got this sort of Art Deco classic walnut grips here. I mean, just the overall design to me is just really, really impressive. Really impressive. And, you know, I think what I really like is this sort of stair step feature here where the angling goes for this direction, it goes here and then up again. So, and the action, the double action trigger is heavy but smooth, and the single action is very, very good as well. So it's a really wonderful firearm. Again, introduced in 1935. From what I've read, the first police department to adopt the Model 27 was the Kansas City Police Department, and the FBI adopted it as well. I don't know when, but when Smith & Wesson turned to model numbers in the, I think, 50s, I think they started to do that, it became the Model 27. And it's the end frame, the venerable end frame. And let me just give you guys a very nice view of that. But, you know, the question is, how does it handle? How does it, when you are actually firing it, how does it feel? How does it handle? Well, what I said was this, the heavy cylinder really gives it a central stability so that when you're firing Magnum rounds, there is no muzzle jump, really. It blows straight back. The recoil goes straight back. So even though with Magnum rounds the recoil is substantial, as you would expect, it's still very, very manageable because of this central heaviness here in the middle, which gives it something that I think other revolvers do not have. So this is the Model 27, fantastic firearm, and something that I really love. So I'll lay that aside for a second. Let's now talk about the storied and legendary Colt Python, the Colt Python, which I just got last week, and I've just started to play around with it. And let's, open it up here. You can see, take a good look there at the, the cylinder, forcing cone. You've got a very good, very, very substantial forcing cone here. And let me just angle if you can see that there. You've got, your cylinder. And notice the bluing, unlike the Smith & Wesson, the blued model, the blued Colt Python has bluing on all throughout the metal parts of the firearm. You see it on the trigger. You see it on the hammer and hammer spur, and you see it throughout the entire firearm. And again, you've got the distinctive ribbed ventilated barrel there, which has been a feature of the Python since it came out in the 50s. But what's really amazing is the Colt firearms are famous for their triggers. They're smooth triggers, and I can tell you that the trigger is every bit as good as they say it is. The double action trigger is smooth, and the single action trigger also pretty smooth. And I've only put about 60 rounds through it, of which about 15 of those were Magnums. So I have not put a lot of rounds through it yet. And as time goes by, I certainly will put in more. The grips, or stocks, as some people say, you've got the Colt medallion here. You've got the textured. The texturing on the grip could be a little bit more. Same thing with the Smith & Wesson. They could really put a little bit more effort into the grips. From what I understand from looking at videos, I think there is a company called Deer Hollow, I don't know where they're out. I guess it's a one-man operation. And this guy makes grips for all sorts of classic firearms. And from what I've heard, he has grips for all the different periods of the Python, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And if you're interested in that, if that floats your boat, if you want to spend an extra $200 and buy, I'm not going to do that. I don't really see the point in that. I'm satisfied. I think it's important to keep the firearms with the integrity that you bought them with. So that's my thoughts on that. But it's just a very, very solid, well designed, well built firearm. And when I was firing it today, I noticed, I did a mental comparison with the Model 27, and these are some of the conclusions. The pistol's very, very accurate. It's very accurate. I'd say they both have equal accuracy. There was a little bit of stiffness in the cylinder latch, and I think it just with some time, as you can see, it just kind of needs a little bit more breaking in to be a little bit smoother. But that's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. The very negligible muzzle climb when you fire it rapidly with even with Magnum rounds. It didn't seem to have a lot of the muzzle flip that I've seen on other 357s. So all in all, this revolver is worth every penny in my view. And if you are a revolver collector, if you are a revolver enthusiast, you really can't go wrong with this gun. Again, you've got the, I'll just hold it up here. You've got the Colt logo here. Obviously, you've got again the ventilated ribs, and just the overall lines and the layout is just really fantastic. And the question always comes up. And let me sort of turn this around here so we can get a better view. People are going to ask, well, which one is better? Which one do you think is better? And the answer really is they're how can you really compare them? They're both classics. They're both they're both guns that are going to last several lifetimes. So get both if you can afford both. Why not? What's the difference? You got to spend your money on something. So anyway, those are my thoughts on these two firearms here. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think, if you've had any experience in handling or firing these guns, what your thoughts are. But I will leave it at that.